So I have a good story for you guys about a bad flare up that I have. Since I'm in the middle of a bad flare up, I thought, why not share a time that was worse than this to make myself feel not so shitty. And it was similar, like it was one of these like full body like suits. Although right now I'm feeling kind of okay, so I'm grateful. So right now today is March 19th, this time last year. March I was going through a flare up and it was looking like it was starting to get better, and that felt like good news. Like I could tell like my skin was less intense when it was itching. And so I was feeling great. And sometimes I feel like almost right when you think it's about to get better, it'll like it'll go psych and it'll kick you in the ass, and it'll get worse just for no fucking reason. So I went to visit family, and um I basically moved out all my stuff from my childhood home and brought it back to my apartment where I live now. And I was feeling kind of conflicted. I was also going through a rough patch in my relationship, and it was kind of tough to go to work, and basically it was just a moment in my life where I'm like, put on a smiling face, but everything's falling apart. And then COVID hit, of course. So this happens at like middle of March. And I decide, you know what, I'm going to break up with this person. And I didn't like it at the time, but it felt right. 2 weeks later, we get back together. And it was like a moment of like, my skin's doing better. I'm doing better. Why not? It was literally like within 24 hours, my skin just broke out. And I don't mean like, you scratch something and it itches for like, let's say you're sitting there for 15 minutes scratching. That shit was itching for like 2 hours nonstop. And it was my stomach, and it was my chest here, and it was my shoulder. So I was just full body, just like going to town on myself, like just scratching away. And I was at work. And I'm like, I went into a full blown panic. And it was such a panic that I basically had to shut down. Like I was in survival mode. And I decided, listen, there have been times where I'm like, I don't want to live anymore. This is too much. And this was not one of those times. It was one of those times where I was like, no, this isn't happening. And we're going to, we're not going to let this take over. So I had my back, like mentally, and I was like, this is really fucked up and this is really bad, but we're going to get through this. And it was the best thing I could have done for myself at that point. Like, I was just like literally a thread away from just giving up entirely, like breaking down at work, just crying, telling the person I was seeing, screw you. I never want to see or hear you again because you put me through so much psychological turmoil that my body is physically exploding in eczema just being around you. Getting in my car and just driving on past the sunset and just anything to escape. And what ended up happening, so my skin had cleared up, and then when that flare up, that moment of crisis happened, I was at work scratching myself like I'm a lunatic, and within like a week I had same thing, like, but it was much worse. It was like all the way up to my neck, and it was like even to the touch it was sensitive. I couldn't shower, I couldn't move. It was just absolutely raw. And that was a dramatic turning point in my life. Number one, it was a turning point in the sense like, no, I've got my back, and this eczema is not going to win. The people around me aren't going to come first. I come first. And that's something that was missing a large part of my life. And I'm still working on, being a little bit more selfish in that way. And number two, I put my fucking foot down. Broke up with my boyfriend at the time. And not only did I break up with him, I had like this revelation, like, not only did I not want to get back together with him, I wanted nothing to do with him, wanted nothing to do with this type of person, wanted nothing to do with anyone associating with him. And it was such a huge 180. And it was good because he had so many red flags and so many problematic features that it felt like a turning point in my life. So from that point on, this is like early April, break up with this person. I have a huge boost in self-confidence, and also like, yeah, I'm right. And the sense of security and direction and motivation. Took 2 months for me to weather that shitty flare up. And it sucked. Every single day kind of sucked. But 2 months, it was super intense, and it quieted. It got better and better. And I could see it noticeably week to week that it just got better and better. Until at one point, it must have been July or August. So from April to August, what is that, 4 months? It was some of the best skin I've ever seen in my life. And it was kind of a testament to, we are so not in control of these flare-ups, And like, my takeaway from a moment like that is trust your gut, have your own back, and be there for yourself when shit is just really bad, because you will get through it, So it always does get better. It always does, and you can't force yourself out of feeling a certain way. You can't force yourself out of recovering any quicker than your body will let you. So, have your back, take it easy. It does take some time. So I hope my shitty story and like the flare-ups will happen. So each one, just take it as a new experience. And hopefully you won't want to drive off a cliff, or you won't want to end it all, and you won't want to just have that complete meltdown, and you'll be able to be there for yourself. That's the most important part. To have compassion when you're at rock bottom. Anyway, hope I get better, and I hope you guys are getting better too, and you're doing all right.